Picture this, a world where the earth itself holds its breath, where the seasons are not just a cycle of nature but a tale of love, loss, and divine power. This is the story of Persephone, the goddess of spring and the queen of the underworld, whose life was forever changed in a single moment. One day, as she wandered through a meadow, the ground beneath her feet split open, and Hades, the god of the underworld, emerged in his chariot. With a swift motion, he swept her away to his shadowy realm, leaving the earth above to mourn her absence. This dramatic event, known as the Abduction of Persephone, is not just a myth, it's the origin of the seasons themselves. Persephone's story is one of duality, of life and death, light and darkness. When she is with her mother, Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, the earth blooms with life and spring and summer rain. But when she returns to the underworld, Demeter's grief causes the earth to wither, bringing autumn and winter. This ancient legend is more than just a tale. It's a reflection of the cycles of nature, of renewal and transformation, and of the delicate balance between the divine and the mortal world. In this video, we'll explore 30 ancient legends about Persephone and the seasons, each one rich with symbolism, cultural significance, and timeless wisdom. From her abduction to her role as queen of the underworld, from the pomegranate seeds that bound her to Hades to the joyous moment of her return to the surface, these stories reveal the depth and complexity of one of mythology's most fascinating figures. So, join us on this journey through myth and mystery as we uncover the secrets of Persephone and the eternal dance of the seasons. Stay with us, and by the end of this video, you'll see the world and the changing seasons in a whole new light. Now, let's step into the heart of the myth, the moment that changed everything. The abduction of Persephone is not just a story of divine intervention. It's a tale of desire, deception, and the delicate balance of the natural world. It all began with a single flower, a narcissus, radiant and irresistible, planted by the will of Zeus himself. As Persephone reached out to pluck it, the earth beneath her feet cracked open, and Hades, the lord of the underworld, emerged in his chariot drawn by dark, immortal horses. In one swift motion, he seized her and carried her down to his shadowy kingdom, leaving the meadow silent and empty. Demeter, Persephone's mother and the goddess of the harvest, was devastated. She searched the earth tirelessly, her grief so profound that the fields grew barren, the trees lost their leaves, and the rivers ran dry. The world, once vibrant and full of life, became a desolate wasteland. This wasn't just a mother's sorrow, it was a cosmic imbalance, a reflection of how deeply intertwined the gods' emotions were with the fate of the earth. But why the narcissus? This flower wasn't chosen at random. In Greek mythology, the narcissus symbolizes both beauty and entrapment, a fitting metaphor for Persephone's fate. Its allure drew her in, just as Hades' desire for her led to her capture. And yet, this moment of loss also set the stage for something greater, the origin of the seasons. When Persephone was taken, the earth mourned with Demeter and winter descended. But her eventual return would bring spring, a cycle of death and rebirth that continues to this day. This legend is more than just a story of gods and goddesses. It's a profound exploration of the forces that shape our world. The abduction of Persephone reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is the promise of renewal, a truth as timeless as the changing seasons themselves. As we move deeper into the story, the focus shifts to Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, and the profound impact of her grief. When Persephone vanished, Demeter's world shattered. Her sorrow was so immense that it rippled across the earth, turning fertile fields into barren wastelands. Crops withered, trees shed their leaves, and rivers dried up. The once thriving earth became a lifeless expanse, mirroring the emptiness in Demeter's heart. This wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was a cosmic event, a reminder of how deeply the gods' emotions were tied to the natural world. Driven by desperation, Demeter began an endless search for her daughter. she wandered the earth, her grief so overwhelming that she neglected her duties as the goddess of agriculture. Mortals who depended on her blessings for their survival began to suffer. Famine spread and humanity faced the threat of extinction. Yet, even in her despair, Demeter's interactions with mortals revealed her compassion. In one famous tale, she disguised herself as an old woman and sought refuge in the home of King Helios and Queen Metanera. There, she cared for their infant son, Demophon, attempting to grant him immortality. Though her plan was interrupted, this moment highlights her nurturing nature, even in the depths of her sorrow. Demeter's grief wasn't just a personal struggle, it was a force that reshaped the world. Her emotions became a reflection of the earth's condition, showing how the divine and the natural were inextricably linked. The barren fields and starving mortals were a direct consequence of her pain, a stark reminder of the balance between the gods and the world they governed. This connection between Demeter's inner turmoil and the external devastation is one of the most powerful themes in her story, illustrating how deeply intertwined life, death, and renewal truly are. As we continue, we'll see how this period of darkness sets the stage for the eventual resolution, a resolution that not only brings Persephone back but also restores balance to the earth and its people. But for now, Demeter's grief stands as a testament to the enduring bond between a mother and her child, and the profound ways that bond can shape the world. As the story unfolds, another powerful figure steps into the narrative, bringing light to Demeter's darkest hour. Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft and crossroads, emerges as a crucial ally in the search for Persephone. Known for her deep wisdom and connection to the unseen, Hecate becomes a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in despair. With her twin torches blazing, she illuminates the path for Demeter, guiding her through the shadows of uncertainty. These torches, symbols of her ability to pierce through darkness, represent not just physical light but also the clarity and insight she offers in moments of confusion. Hecate's role goes beyond mere guidance. As a goddess who straddles the boundaries between the mortal and divine realms, she acts as a mediator, bridging the gap between the grieving mother and the hidden truths of the underworld. Her knowledge of the mystical and her ability to navigate the unseen make her an invaluable companion to Demeter. Together, they form a partnership rooted in shared purpose, with Hecate's wisdom complementing Demeter's determination. It's through Hecate's intervention that Demeter begins to uncover the truth about Persephone's fate, setting the stage for the next chapter in this epic tale. But Hecate's significance doesn't end with her role as a guide. She embodies the idea of transformation and transition, often associated with crossroads and thresholds. In aiding Demeter, she not only helps reunite a mother with her daughter, but also plays a part in restoring balance to the world. Her presence reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming grief, there are forces at work, forces of wisdom, light, and connection, that can lead us toward resolution and renewal. As we move forward, Hecate's influence will continue to shape the story, proving that even in the darkest moments, there is always a glimmer of hope. As the search for Persephone continues, the story takes a dramatic turn with the intervention of Helios, the all-seeing sun god. From his vantage point high above the earth, Helios witnesses everything that unfolds beneath his radiant gaze. It is he who finally reveals the truth to Demeter, shattering her illusions and bringing clarity to her desperate search. Helios tells her that Zeus, the king of the gods, had secretly permitted Hades to take Persephone, a revelation that deepens the complexity of the myth and exposes the intricate web of divine politics. Helios, as the embodiment of the sun, holds a unique position among the gods. His role as an all-seeing deity grants him unparalleled knowledge of the world's events, making him a crucial figure in this unfolding drama. Unlike other gods who may act out of personal interest or emotion, Helios operates from a place of impartiality, offering Demeter the unvarnished truth. His revelation not only shifts the narrative but also highlights the moral ambiguities within the pantheon. Zeus's decision to allow Persephone's abduction raises questions about power, consent, and the often blurred lines between justice and authority. This moment also underscores the tension between the gods, as Helios's disclosure forces Demeter to confront the betrayal by her own brother, Zeus. The moral implications of Zeus's actions are profound, as they reveal the lengths to which the gods will go to maintain their dominion, even at the expense of one another. Helios's role as a truth-teller adds a layer of complexity to the story, reminding us that even in the divine realm, knowledge can be both a gift and a burden. His perspective offers a rare glimpse into the inner workings of the gods, where alliances are fragile and decisions are often driven by power rather than compassion. As we reflect on Helios's revelation, we see how it sets the stage for the next phase of the story. Demeter, armed with this newfound knowledge, must now navigate the consequences of Zeus's actions, leading to a confrontation that will reshape the fate of both gods and mortals. Helios's role as the bringer of truth not only advances the plot but also deepens our understanding of the moral and ethical dilemmas at the heart of this ancient legend. With the truth now laid bare, Demeter's grief transforms into something far more dangerous, unrelenting wrath. Her anger is not just a personal vendetta but a force of nature itself, one that threatens to unravel the very fabric of life on Earth. Refusing to accept Zeus's betrayal and Hades's actions, Demeter withdraws her divine blessing from the land. Crops wither, fields turn barren, and the once fertile earth becomes a desolate wasteland. The consequences are immediate and catastrophic. Mortals who depend on the earth's bounty for survival face starvation and despair. This is no ordinary famine. It is a divine punishment, a manifestation of a mother's anguish over the loss of her daughter. As the famine spreads, the desperation of mortals reaches a breaking point. Without food, entire communities crumble, and the cries of the suffering echo across the earth. The gods, too, begin to feel the weight of Demeter's wrath. Sacrifices and offerings, the lifeblood of their worship, dwindle as mortals struggle to survive. Zeus, who once believed he could control the situation, now realizes the gravity of his mistake. Demeter's power over the earth is absolute, and her refusal to restore its fertility threatens not only mortals but the very balance of the divine order. The gods are forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. Even they are not immune to the consequences of their actions. At the heart of this crisis lies a profound theme: the power of maternal love. Demeter's actions are driven by an unyielding devotion to her daughter, a love so fierce that it shakes the foundations of the world. Her grief and anger are not just personal, they are universal, reflecting the lengths to which a mother will go to protect her child. This theme resonates deeply, reminding us that even in the realm of gods, emotions like love and loss hold immense power. Demeter's defiance challenges the authority of Zeus and the other gods, forcing them to acknowledge the strength of her resolve. As the famine worsens, Zeus is left with no choice but to intervene. The suffering of mortals and the disruption of the divine order demand a resolution. Yet this is not merely a story of conflict, it is a testament to the enduring bond between mother and child, and the ways in which that bond can reshape the world. Demeter's wrath, though devastating, ultimately serves as a catalyst for change, setting the stage for the negotiations and compromises that will follow. Her actions remind us that even in the face of overwhelming power, love can be the most transformative force of all. With the gods now fully aware of Demeter's strength, the stage is set for the next chapter in this epic tale, a chapter that will see Hermes, the messenger god, embark on a mission to the underworld, seeking to bring Persephone back to the light. As the crisis deepens, the gods turn to Hermes, the swift-footed messenger of the divine, to resolve the growing chaos. Known for his cunning and ability to traverse the boundaries between worlds, Hermes is tasked with a mission of utmost importance to descend into the underworld and negotiate Persephone's return. This journey is not just a physical one but a test of diplomacy and strategy, as Hermes must navigate the complex dynamics between the gods to bring about a resolution. With his winged sandals carrying him swiftly through the realms, Hermes arrives at the gates of the underworld, a place shrouded in darkness and mystery. Here he encounters Hades, the formidable ruler of the dead, who is both a god of immense power and a figure deeply entwined in the fate of Persephone. The meeting between Hermes and Hades is tense, as the messenger god presents Zeus's demand for Persephone's release. Yet Hades is not easily swayed. He reminds Hermes of the laws that govern the underworld and the binding nature of Persephone's consumption of the pomegranate seeds. This moment sets the stage for a delicate negotiation, one that will determine the future of both the mortal and divine worlds. Hermes, ever the skilled diplomat, appeals to Hades' sense of fairness and the greater good. He emphasizes the devastation wrought by Demeter's wrath and the suffering of mortals who rely on the earth's fertility. At the same time, he acknowledges Hades' claim over Persephone, suggesting a compromise that would allow her to divide her time between the underworld and the surface. This proposal, though born of necessity, carries profound implications. It not only addresses the immediate crisis but also establishes a new order, one that balances the needs of the gods with the rhythms of the natural world. The agreement reached between Hermes and Hades marks a turning point in the myth. Persephone's return to the surface brings an end to the famine, as Demeter's joy restores life to the earth. Yet the compromise also ensures that Persephone will spend part of each year in the underworld, a condition that cements her dual role as both goddess of spring and queen of the dead. This arrangement reflects the interconnectedness of life and death, growth and decay, and the cyclical nature of existence. Hermes' mission is more than a mere errand. It is a testament to the power of negotiation and the importance of finding common ground, even among the most powerful beings. His journey underscores the complexity of the relationships between the gods and the far-reaching consequences of their decisions. As the story unfolds, it becomes clear that Hermes' role is not just as a messenger but as a mediator, one whose actions shape the destiny of both mortals and immortals alike. With Persephone's fate now decided, the stage is set for the next chapter in this timeless tale, a chapter that will explore the profound symbolism of the pomegranate seeds and the enduring legacy of the compromise that reshaped the world. Now, as the story unfolds, we come to one of the most pivotal moments in Persephone's tale, the fateful decision involving the pomegranate seeds. This seemingly small act carries immense weight, shaping not only her destiny but also the balance of the natural world. While in the underworld, Persephone is offered pomegranate seeds by Hades. Unaware of the consequences, she consumes a portion of them. Some versions of the myth say she ate 4 seeds, while others suggest 6. This act, though simple, holds profound significance. In ancient Greek culture, consuming food in the realm of the dead was believed to create an unbreakable bond, tying the eater to that place forever. By eating the seeds, Persephone unknowingly binds herself to the underworld and to Hades as its queen. The symbolism of the pomegranate is rich and layered. Often associated with fertility, abundance, and the cycles of life and death, the fruit becomes a powerful metaphor in this myth. Its seeds, vibrant and numerous, represent both life and the inevitability of death, mirroring Persephone's dual roles as goddess of spring and queen of the underworld. The act of eating the seeds also symbolizes a moment of transformation, Persephone's transition from a maiden to a powerful deity who bridges the realms of the living and the dead. This moment sets the stage for the compromise that follows. When Hermes negotiates Persephone's return to the surface, Hades insists that her consumption of the seeds means she must remain connected to the underworld. The agreement reached is both practical and symbolic. Persephone will spend part of the year with Hades in the underworld and the other part with her mother, Demeter, on the earth. This division of time explains the changing seasons. Her absence brings winter, while her return heralds the rebirth of spring. The pomegranate seeds, then, are not just a plot device but a cornerstone of the myth's deeper meaning. They embody the themes of choice, consequence, and the delicate balance between life and death. Persephone's story, shaped by this single act, becomes a timeless reflection of the cycles that govern both nature and human existence. As we move forward, the implications of this compromise will ripple through the myth, influencing not only the lives of the gods but also the rhythms of the mortal world. The seeds, small yet mighty, remind us that even the smallest actions can have far-reaching consequences. With the pomegranate seed sealing Persephone's fate, the stage is set for a divine compromise that reshapes the world as we know it. This agreement, brokered between Demeter, Hades, and Zeus, becomes the foundation for the natural cycle of the seasons. It's a resolution that balances the needs of the gods while reflecting the eternal dance between life and death. Demeter, devastated by her daughter's prolonged absence, had plunged the earth into a barren, lifeless state. Her grief was so profound that it threatened the survival of both mortals and gods. Recognizing the crisis, Zeus steps in to mediate. He proposes a solution that satisfies both Demeter's longing for her daughter and Hades' claim over Persephone as his queen. The compromise is simple yet profound. Persephone will divide her time between the underworld and the earth. For the portion of the year she spends with Hades, Demeter's sorrow will cause the earth to wither, bringing winter. When Persephone returns to the surface, her mother's joy will restore life, ushering in the vibrant renewal of spring. This division of time isn't just a practical arrangement, it's a deeply symbolic one. Persephone's descent into the underworld represents the dormant phase of nature, a time of rest and reflection. Her return to the earth symbolizes rebirth and the resurgence of life. The myth beautifully captures the cyclical nature of existence, where death is not an end but a necessary precursor to new beginnings. The seasons, then, become a living metaphor for the balance between light and darkness, growth and decay. Persephone's story reminds us that life is a series of transitions, each phase holding its own significance. Her time in the underworld as queen grants her power and wisdom, while her return to the earth brings hope and renewal. This duality is at the heart of her myth, reflecting the interconnectedness of all things. As we reflect on this compromise, it's impossible not to see its echoes in the world around us. The changing seasons, the cycles of planting and harvest, even the rhythms of our own lives, all are touched by the timeless themes of Persephone's story. Her journey, shaped by the pomegranate seeds and the agreement that followed, continues to resonate as a powerful symbol of transformation and balance. Next, we'll explore how Persephone's dual role as both a spring goddess and queen of the underworld deepens her significance in ancient mythology, revealing even more layers to her enduring legacy. Now, let's turn our attention to Persephone's remarkable transformation into the queen of the underworld. This dual role as both a goddess of spring and a ruler of the dead adds a fascinating layer to her myth, showcasing her complexity and power. Persephone's journey from a youthful maiden to a formidable queen is one of the most compelling aspects of her story. Initially, she is portrayed as a symbol of innocence and renewal, closely tied to her mother Demeter and the fertile earth. However, her abduction by Hades and her subsequent time in the underworld mark a profound shift. In this dark realm, Persephone undergoes a transformation, emerging not as a victim but as a figure of authority and wisdom. Her acceptance of the pomegranate seeds and the resulting compromise solidifies her position as Hades' equal and partner. As queen of the underworld, Persephone wields significant influence over the souls of the dead. She becomes a mediator between the living and the deceased, guiding spirits to their final resting place and ensuring the balance between the realms. This role highlights her duality. She is both a bringer of life and a ruler of death. Her presence in the underworld is not one of despair but of order and purpose, reflecting the ancient Greek belief in the cyclical nature of existence. Her relationship with Hades also evolves over time. While their union begins with an act of abduction, it grows into a partnership built on mutual respect and shared power. Hades, often depicted as a stern and unyielding figure, is softened by Persephone's presence. Together, they govern the underworld with a balance of justice and compassion, ensuring that the dead are treated with dignity and that the natural order is maintained. Persephone's dual identity as a spring goddess and queen of the underworld also underscores her connection to the cycles of life and death. Her time in the underworld represents the dormant, introspective phase of nature, while her return to the earth heralds rebirth and renewal. This duality makes her a symbol of transformation, reminding us that growth often requires periods of darkness and reflection. Her influence extends beyond the underworld, shaping the way ancient Greeks understood the afterlife and the natural world. Persephone's story teaches us that power can emerge from vulnerability, and that even in the darkest places there is potential for growth and renewal. As we continue, we'll explore how Persephone's dual roles influenced ancient rituals and beliefs, particularly through the Eleusinian mysteries, which celebrated her story as a source of spiritual insight and hope. Now, let's step into the world of the Eleusinian mysteries, one of the most sacred and enigmatic rituals of ancient Greece. These ceremonies, dedicated to Demeter and Persephone, were held annually in the city of Eleusis near Athens. They were not just religious events but profound experiences that promised initiates a deeper understanding of life, death, and the promise of rebirth. The Eleusinian mysteries were shrouded in secrecy, with participants sworn to silence about the rituals they witnessed. This secrecy has left historians with only fragments of information, but what we do know is that the rites were deeply tied to the myth of Persephone's abduction and return. The story of her descent into the underworld and her eventual reunion with Demeter served as the central narrative of the mysteries, symbolizing the cycle of life, death, and renewal. For the ancient Greeks, these rituals offered more than just spiritual insight, they provided hope. The promise of Persephone's return each spring mirrored the promise of renewal and rebirth for those who participated. Initiates believed that by experiencing the mysteries, they would gain a sense of peace and understanding about the afterlife, easing their fears of death and offering a glimpse of eternal bliss. The mysteries were open to all, regardless of social status or gender, making them one of the most inclusive religious practices of the ancient world. However, the process of initiation was rigorous, requiring purification, fasting, and a journey to Eleusis. The climax of the rituals involved a dramatic reenactment of Persephone's story, immersing participants in the emotional highs and lows of her journey. The connection between the Eleusinian mysteries and the natural world was also profound. Just as Persephone's return brought life back to the earth, the rituals celebrated the cyclical nature of existence, reminding initiates that death was not an end but a transition. This theme of transformation resonated deeply with participants, offering them a sense of continuity and connection to the divine. The influence of the Eleusinian mysteries extended far beyond their time, shaping Greek religious thought and inspiring later spiritual traditions. Their emphasis on secrecy, personal transformation, and the promise of renewal continues to captivate scholars and spiritual seekers alike. As we move forward, we'll explore how Persephone's story and the themes of the Eleusinian mysteries influenced other aspects of ancient Greek culture, from art and literature to the way people understood their place in the cosmos. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most uplifting moments in Persephone's story, her return to the surface and the rebirth of the earth. After spending months in the underworld, Persephone's ascent marks the arrival of spring, a time of renewal and hope. This moment is not just a turning point in the myth, but a powerful symbol of life's resilience and the enduring bond between mother and daughter. As Persephone emerges from the underworld, the earth begins to awaken. Flowers bloom, crops sprout, and the once barren landscape transforms into a vibrant tapestry of life. This miraculous change mirrors the joy of Demeter, who, after months of grief and despair, is finally reunited with her daughter. Their reunion is a deeply emotional moment filled with relief, love, and the promise of new beginnings. The symbolism here is profound. Persephone's return represents the triumph of life over death, light over darkness, and hope over despair. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, renewal is possible. For the ancient Greeks, this story wasn't just a myth, it was a reflection of the natural world and the cycles they observed every year. The changing seasons became a metaphor for the human experience, teaching that loss and hardship are followed by growth and joy. The celebration of Persephone's return was more than just a mythological event, it was a cultural and spiritual milestone. Communities would gather to honor the goddesses, offering thanks for the return of fertility to the land. Festivals and rituals celebrated the rebirth of nature, reinforcing the connection between the divine and the everyday lives of the people. This legend also highlights the emotional depth of Persephone and Demeter's relationship. Their bond is a testament to the power of love and the strength of familial ties. Demeter's unwavering determination to bring her daughter back, and Persephone's ability to navigate both the underworld and the surface world, showcase their resilience and adaptability. As we reflect on this moment, it's impossible not to feel a sense of hope. Persephone's story reminds us that even after the coldest, darkest winters, spring will always come. It's a timeless message that continues to resonate, offering comfort and inspiration to those who hear it. Next, we'll explore how Zeus, the king of the gods, played a pivotal role in shaping this myth, examining his decisions and their far-reaching consequences. Now, let's shift our focus to the king of the gods himself, Zeus. His role in Persephone's story is both complex and pivotal, shaping the events that unfold in ways that reveal the intricate balance of power, justice, and morality in Greek mythology. Zeus, as the ruler of the gods, holds immense authority, but his decisions often carry a weight of moral ambiguity. In the case of Persephone's abduction, it was Zeus who gave Hades permission to take her, a choice that set the entire myth into motion. On one hand, this decision reflects Zeus's role as a mediator among the gods, ensuring that each deity's domain and desires are respected. On the other hand, it raises questions about his priorities. Did he consider Persephone's wishes, or was this a purely political move to maintain harmony among the gods? As a father, Zeus's actions are equally complicated. While he allowed Hades to take Persephone, he also played a key role in mediating the compromise that brought her back to the surface for part of the year. This duality, balancing his responsibilities as a ruler and his role as a parent, highlights the tension between power and compassion. Zeus's decisions are not black and white. They reflect the messy, often conflicting nature of leadership and familial bonds. The moral ambiguity of Zeus's choices also underscores broader themes in Greek mythology. His actions remind us that power is rarely absolute and that even the gods must navigate the complexities of justice and fairness. By permitting the abduction, Zeus prioritizes the stability of the divine order, but by later intervening to broker a deal, he acknowledges the suffering caused by his initial decision. This duality makes Zeus a fascinating figure, one who embodies both the strengths and flaws of leadership. Zeus's involvement also serves as a commentary on the nature of justice. In the ancient Greek worldview, justice wasn't always about right and wrong. It was about balance and order. Zeus's actions, while morally questionable at times, ultimately restore equilibrium to the world. The compromise he helps negotiate ensures that both the underworld and the earth receive their due. reflecting the cyclical nature of life and death that Persephone's story so powerfully symbolizes. As we examine Zeus's role, it's clear that his decisions are not just about maintaining power, they're about navigating the intricate web of relationships and responsibilities that define the divine realm. His actions remind us that even the mightiest figures must grapple with the consequences of their choices, and that true justice often lies in finding a balance between competing forces. Next, we'll explore how Persephone's story has been immortalized in art, examining the symbols and motifs that have captured the imagination of artists for centuries. Now, let's turn our attention to how Persephone's story has been brought to life through art. Across ancient Greece, artists captured her essence in sculptures, pottery, and other forms of visual storytelling, using powerful symbols to convey her dual role as both the goddess of spring and the queen of the underworld. These artistic depictions not only celebrated her myth but also communicated deeper meanings about life, death, and renewal. One of the most recurring motifs in Persephone's imagery is the pomegranate. This fruit, with its rich red seeds, symbolizes her connection to the underworld and the binding agreement that ties her to Hades. In many artworks, Persephone is shown holding or near a pomegranate, a visual reminder of the moment she consumed its seeds and sealed her fate. The pomegranate also represents fertility and abundance, linking her to the cycles of growth and harvest that her myth explains. Flowers, particularly the narcissus, are another common element in Persephone's artistic representations. The narcissus, which played a key role in her abduction, often appears as a symbol of transformation and the fleeting nature of beauty. In some depictions, Persephone is surrounded by blooming flowers, emphasizing her role as the bringer of spring and renewal. These floral motifs highlight the contrast between her life above ground and her time in the underworld, capturing the duality that defines her story. Torches are yet another powerful symbol associated with Persephone, often depicted alongside her mother, Demeter, or the goddess Hecate. Torches represent the search for light in the darkness. They symbolize the journey of Persephone's return to the surface, as well as the hope and resilience that her story embodies. In some artworks, Persephone herself holds a torch, signifying her role as a guide between the realms of the living and the dead. The cultural significance of these artistic motifs cannot be overstated. They served as a way for ancient Greeks to connect with Persephone's story on a deeper level, using visual symbols to explore themes of life, death, and rebirth. Through art, Persephone's myth became more than just a tale. It became a way to understand the natural world and the cycles that govern it. As we explore these artistic depictions, it's clear that Persephone's imagery is as layered and complex as her story. Each symbol, whether it's the pomegranate, the narcissus, or the torch, adds another dimension to her character, inviting us to reflect on the profound themes she represents. Next, we'll take a closer look at how Persephone's story was adapted in Roman mythology, examining the similarities and differences between her Greek and Roman counterparts. Now, let's journey from the world of ancient Greece to the heart of Rome, where Persephone's story takes on a new identity. In Roman mythology, she is known as Proserpina, and while her tale shares many similarities with her Greek counterpart, there are fascinating differences that reflect the unique values and beliefs of Roman culture. At the core, the story of Proserpina mirrors that of Persephone. She is abducted by Pluto, the Roman equivalent of Hades, and taken to the underworld. Like Persephone, her consumption of pomegranate seeds binds her to the realm of the dead, and her eventual return to the surface brings about the changing of the seasons. This shared narrative highlights the universal themes of life, death, and renewal that resonated across ancient cultures. However, the Roman version of the myth places a stronger emphasis on Proserpina's role as a symbol of agricultural cycles. In Roman society, agriculture was central to both daily life and religious practice, and Proserpina's story was often tied to the fertility of the land. Her abduction and return were celebrated in festivals like the Cerealia, dedicated to Ceres, the Roman counterpart of Demeter. These celebrations underscored the connection between Proserpina's myth and the rhythms of planting and harvest, making her a vital figure in Roman agrarian traditions. Another key difference lies in the portrayal of Proserpina herself. While Persephone is often depicted as a figure of duality, both a maiden and a queen, Proserpina is sometimes portrayed with a more assertive and regal demeanor. Roman art and literature occasionally emphasize her authority in the underworld, presenting her as a powerful queen rather than a passive victim. This shift reflects the Roman appreciation for strength and leadership, even in their deities. The Roman adaptation of the myth also influenced later interpretations of the story. During the Renaissance, for example, artists and writers drew heavily on Roman sources, often blending elements of both Greek and Roman mythology. This fusion created a richer, more layered understanding of the myth, allowing it to endure and evolve across centuries. By comparing Persephone and Proserpina, we gain a deeper appreciation for how myths adapt to reflect the values and priorities of different cultures. While the core of the story remains the same, the Roman version offers unique insights into the ways ancient societies understood the natural world and their place within it. Next, we'll explore how Persephone's story has inspired writers and artists throughout history, tracing her influence from ancient texts to modern literature. Now, let's turn our attention to the enduring influence of Persephone's story on literature, a testament to how her myth has captivated the imaginations of writers across centuries. From ancient epics to contemporary novels, her tale of transformation and duality has inspired countless works, weaving her presence into the fabric of literary history. In ancient Greek literature, Persephone's story was often referenced in poetry and drama. The Homeric hymn to Demeter, one of the earliest and most detailed accounts of her abduction, set the stage for her portrayal as a figure of both vulnerability and power. This hymn not only shaped her myth but also influenced how later writers approached themes of loss, renewal, and the cycles of nature. Playwrights like Aeschylus and Euripides also drew on her story, using it to explore the complexities of human emotion and the interplay between the mortal and divine realms. Moving into the Renaissance, Persephone's myth found new life in the works of poets and artists who were fascinated by classical antiquity. Writers like Ovid, in his Metamorphoses, retold her story with vivid imagery, emphasizing her transformation from maiden to queen. This period also saw her myth reinterpreted through the lens of allegory, with Persephone symbolizing the soul's journey through life, death, and rebirth. Her duality, embodying both spring's vitality and the underworld's mystery, made her a compelling figure for exploring themes of change and resilience. In the Romantic era, Persephone's story resonated deeply with poets who were drawn to themes of nature, emotion, and the sublime. Percy Bysshe Shelley and John Keats, for example, referenced her myth in their works, using her as a symbol of beauty, transience, and the eternal cycle of life. Her abduction and return became metaphors for the human experience, reflecting the tension between innocence and experience, joy and sorrow. Fast forward to the modern era, and Persephone's influence remains as strong as ever. Contemporary authors have reimagined her story in novels, short stories, and even graphic novels, often giving her a more active and empowered role. Writers like Margaret Atwood and Madeline Miller have explored her myth through feminist lenses, highlighting her agency and complexity. These modern retellings often delve into her dual nature, portraying her not just as a victim of circumstance but as a figure who embraces her power and transforms her fate. Persephone's enduring appeal in literature lies in her ability to embody universal themes: transformation, duality, and the cycles of life and death. Her story continues to inspire writers to explore the depths of human experience, making her a timeless figure in the world of storytelling. Next, we'll delve into the concept of dualism in Persephone's character, examining how her myth reflects broader philosophical ideas about life, death, and the balance between opposites. Now, let's explore the fascinating concept of dualism in Persephone's character, a theme that lies at the very heart of her myth. Persephone embodies a striking duality. She is both the goddess of spring, bringing life and renewal to the earth, and the queen of the underworld, presiding over death and the afterlife. This dual nature makes her one of the most complex and compelling figures in ancient mythology, representing the delicate balance between opposites. In ancient Greek thought, duality was a central philosophical idea, reflecting the interconnectedness of seemingly opposing forces. Persephone's story illustrates this beautifully. Her time above ground with Demeter brings warmth, growth, and abundance, symbolizing life and light. Yet, her descent into the underworld marks a period of cold, barrenness, and darkness, representing death and the unknown. This cyclical movement between two realms mirrors the natural rhythms of the world: day and night, summer and winter, growth and decay. This duality also reflects deeper spiritual concepts. In many ways, Persephone's journey can be seen as a metaphor for the human experience. Her abduction and return symbolize the transitions we all face: moments of loss and renewal, joy and sorrow, beginnings and endings. The ancient Greeks saw her story as a reminder that life and death are not separate but part of a continuous cycle. Her myth teaches us that even in darkness there is the promise of light, and in death the potential for rebirth. Persephone's dual role also highlights the balance between power and vulnerability. As a maiden, she is vulnerable, taken against her will into the underworld. Yet, as Queen of the Dead, she wields immense authority, shaping the fate of souls and maintaining order in the realm of Hades. This transformation from victim to ruler underscores the idea that strength can emerge from adversity, and that even the most challenging experiences can lead to growth and empowerment. The concept of dualism in Persephone's character extends beyond her myth, influencing broader philosophical ideas in ancient Greece. Thinkers like Heraclitus explored the notion that opposites are interconnected and that harmony arises from the tension between them. Persephone's story embodies this principle, showing how life and death, light and darkness are not in conflict but in balance. Her myth invites us to embrace the complexities of existence, recognizing that every ending holds the seed of a new beginning. As we move forward, we'll delve into the role of mortals in Persephone's story, examining how their interactions with the gods reflect themes of hospitality, sacrifice, and the human connection to the divine. Now, let's turn our attention to the role of mortals in Persephone's myth, a fascinating aspect that highlights the intricate relationship between humans and the divine. While the gods often take center stage in these ancient tales, the actions and experiences of mortals play a crucial part in shaping the story and its deeper meanings. One of the most significant examples of this is Demeter's stay with King Helios and Queen Metanera, a moment that reveals profound themes of hospitality, sacrifice, and the bond between humanity and the gods. When Demeter, in her grief over Persephone's disappearance, wandered the earth in search of her daughter, she disguised herself as an old woman. It was during this time that she encountered King Helios and Queen Metanera of Eleusis. The royal couple, unaware of her true identity, welcomed her into their home with open arms, offering her food, shelter, and kindness. This act of hospitality was not just a gesture of goodwill. It was a sacred duty in ancient Greek culture, reflecting the belief that the gods could walk among mortals in disguise. Demeter's time in Eleusis also underscores the theme of sacrifice. In her sorrow, she refused to eat or drink, but when Queen Metanera offered her a simple drink of barley water, Demeter accepted it. This small act of human generosity became a powerful symbol of connection between the divine and the mortal world. It also set the stage for one of the most poignant moments in the myth, Demeter's attempt to grant immortality to the couple's infant son, Demophoon. By anointing him with ambrosia and placing him in the fire each night, she sought to transform him into a god. However, when Metanera discovered this ritual and interrupted it out of fear, Demeter revealed her true identity and the opportunity was lost. This episode highlights the delicate balance between human fear and divine intention. Metanera's interruption, though understandable, represents the limitations of mortal understanding when faced with the mysteries of the gods. Yet, even in this moment of missed opportunity, the bond between Demeter and the mortals of Eleusis remained strong. In gratitude for their hospitality, Demeter taught the Eleusinians her sacred rites, which later became the foundation of the Eleusinian mysteries, one of the most important religious traditions in ancient Greece. The interactions between mortals and gods in Persephone's story also emphasize the idea that humans are not mere bystanders in the divine drama, they are active participants. Through their acts of kindness, courage, and even fear, mortals influence the course of events and shape the outcomes of the gods' plans. This dynamic reflects the ancient Greek belief that the divine and the human worlds are deeply intertwined, each affecting the other in profound ways. As we continue, we'll explore how Persephone's connection to fertility and agriculture further illustrates her impact on the mortal world, revealing how her myth explains the cycles of planting and harvest, and how she was worshipped as a bringer of abundance. Now, let's delve into Persephone's profound connection to fertility and agriculture, a theme that lies at the very heart of her myth. As the goddess of spring and the queen of the underworld, Persephone embodies the duality of life and death, growth and decay, which mirrors the natural cycles of the earth. Her story not only explains the changing seasons but also serves as a powerful metaphor for the agricultural rhythms that sustained ancient Greek society. When Persephone returns to the surface each spring, her presence breathes life into the world. Flowers bloom, crops sprout, and the earth awakens from its winter slumber. This annual rebirth symbolizes the promise of renewal and abundance, a reminder that even after the darkest times, life finds a way to flourish. For ancient Greeks, this cycle was not just a natural phenomenon, it was a divine gift directly tied to Persephone's journey between the underworld and the earth. Her time in the underworld, on the other hand, represents the dormant phase of the agricultural year. As she descends to reign alongside Hades, the earth grows barren and the fields lie fallow. This period of stillness and waiting was seen as a necessary part of the cycle, a time for the soil to rest and gather strength for the next planting season. In this way, Persephone's myth provided a spiritual explanation for the practical realities of farming, offering comfort and meaning to those who depended on the land for their survival. Persephone's role as a bringer of abundance extended beyond the fields. She was also worshipped as a protector of fertility, not just in crops but in human life as well. Many ancient rituals and festivals honored her as a goddess who ensured the prosperity of families and communities. Offerings of grain, flowers, and fruits were made to her, symbolizing gratitude for her blessings and a plea for continued favor. These acts of devotion reinforced the idea that Persephone's power was not distant or abstract, it was deeply woven into the everyday lives of those who revered her. The connection between Persephone and fertility also highlights the interdependence of life and death. Just as seeds must be buried in the earth to grow, Persephone's descent into the underworld is essential for the renewal of life above. This duality made her a figure of both hope and reverence, a reminder that growth often requires sacrifice and that even in the depths of darkness, there is the potential for new beginnings. As we move forward, we'll explore how Persephone's story has been interpreted through a psychological lens, revealing how her journey symbolizes personal growth, transformation, and the integration of opposites. Her myth continues to resonate, offering timeless insights into the cycles of life and the enduring power of renewal. Now, let's shift our focus to the psychological layers of Persephone's myth, exploring how her story resonates with themes of personal growth and transformation. Modern interpretations, particularly through the lens of Carl Jung's archetypes, reveal that Persephone's journey is more than just a tale of seasons. It's a profound metaphor for the human experience. Jungian psychology often highlights the archetype of the maiden, the mother, and the crone, representing different stages of life and aspects of the psyche. Persephone embodies the maiden archetype, symbolizing innocence and potential. However, her abduction and subsequent reign in the underworld mark her transformation into a figure of power and wisdom. This shift mirrors the process of individuation, a central concept in Jungian theory, where individuals integrate different parts of themselves to achieve wholeness. Persephone's descent into the underworld can be seen as a journey into the unconscious mind, a place of shadow and hidden truths. Her time there represents the necessary confrontation with darker aspects of the self, a process that, while challenging, leads to profound personal growth. Just as Persephone emerges from the underworld with newfound strength and authority, individuals who face their own inner struggles often emerge with greater self-awareness and resilience. The integration of opposites is another key theme in Persephone's story. As both the goddess of spring and the queen of the underworld, she embodies the balance between life and death, light and darkness. This duality reflects the Jungian idea of reconciling opposing forces within the psyche, such as the conscious and unconscious, or the masculine and feminine aspects of the self. Persephone's myth teaches us that true growth comes from embracing and harmonizing these contradictions, rather than rejecting or fearing them. Her story also speaks to the transformative power of adversity. Persephone's abduction, while traumatic, becomes the catalyst for her evolution into a powerful and multifaceted deity. This mirrors the human experience of facing challenges that, though painful, ultimately lead to personal development and a deeper understanding of oneself. Her myth reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is potential for renewal and transformation. As we continue, we'll explore how Persephone's myth has been adapted in modern media, showing how her timeless story continues to inspire and resonate with audiences today. Her journey, rich with psychological depth, offers a powerful lens through which we can understand our own paths of growth and self-discovery. Now, let's turn our attention to how Persephone's timeless myth has found new life in modern media. Her story, rich with themes of transformation, duality, and resilience, has inspired countless adaptations in films, television shows, and even video games, each offering a fresh perspective on her ancient tale. In recent years, Persephone has become a popular figure in fantasy and mythological retellings. Films and TV series often reimagine her as a complex, multidimensional character, moving beyond the traditional portrayal of a passive victim. For example, in some modern adaptations, Persephone is depicted as a strong, independent figure who actively shapes her destiny, challenging the narrative of her abduction and emphasizing her agency. These retellings often explore her relationship with Hades in greater depth, presenting it as a partnership rather than a one-sided arrangement, and highlighting themes of love, power, and mutual respect. Video games have also embraced Persephone's myth, weaving her story into immersive narratives that allow players to engage with her world. In some games, she appears as a central character, guiding players through quests that mirror her journey between the underworld and the surface. These adaptations often emphasize the duality of her nature, allowing players to experience the balance between life and death, light and darkness that defines her character. Modern media has also reinterpreted Persephone's story to address contemporary themes such as identity, empowerment, and the struggle for autonomy. By placing her in new contexts, creators have used her myth to explore issues relevant to today's audiences, making her ancient tale feel strikingly modern. Whether she's portrayed as a fierce queen, a compassionate goddess, or a symbol of personal transformation, Persephone continues to captivate and inspire. As we move forward, we'll delve into the symbolism of the Narcissus flower, the very object that played a pivotal role in Persephone's abduction. This seemingly simple flower carries layers of meaning, connecting her story to themes of vanity, transformation, and the cycles of nature. Now, let's take a closer look at the narcissus flower, a seemingly delicate bloom that played a crucial role in Persephone's abduction and carries profound symbolic weight. In the myth, it was the narcissus that lured Persephone away from her companions, its beauty irresistible and its scent intoxicating. But this flower is far more than just a plot device. It's a powerful symbol woven into the fabric of the story, representing themes of vanity, transformation, and the cycles of nature. In ancient Greek culture, the narcissus was often associated with vanity and self-obsession, a connection rooted in the myth of Narcissus, the youth who fell in love with his own reflection. This duality, its beauty and its danger, makes it a fitting symbol for Persephone's story. Just as the flower's allure draws her in, it also marks the beginning of her transformation from a carefree maiden to the queen of the underworld. The narcissus, then, becomes a metaphor for the seductive yet perilous nature of change, a reminder that growth often comes at a cost. Beyond its ties to vanity, the narcissus also embodies the cyclical rhythms of life and death. Its blooming coincides with the arrival of spring, a time of renewal and rebirth, yet its role in Persephone's abduction leads to the barrenness of winter. This duality mirrors Persephone's own journey as she moves between the realms of the living and the dead, embodying both life and death in her dual roles as goddess of spring and queen of the underworld. The flower's significance extends even further, as it was often used in ancient Greek rituals and ceremonies, symbolizing both the fragility and resilience of life. Its presence in Persephone's story underscores the interconnectedness of all things beauty and danger, life and death, growth and decay. Through the narcissus, the myth invites us to reflect on the transformative power of change and the delicate balance that sustains the natural world. As we continue, we'll explore Persephone's role in Orphic traditions, a mystical branch of ancient Greek religion that offers a unique perspective on her story and its deeper meanings. Now, shifting our focus to the mystical realm of Orphism, we uncover a unique and profound perspective on Persephone's story. Orphism, a spiritual movement in ancient Greece, offered a deeper, more esoteric interpretation of her myth, one that diverged significantly from the mainstream narratives we've explored so far. In Orphic traditions, Persephone wasn't just a figure caught between her mother and Hades. She was a central symbol of life, death, and the soul's journey. In Orphic myths, Persephone's abduction and her time in the underworld were seen as metaphors for the soul's descent into the material world and its eventual liberation. The Orphics believed in the concept of reincarnation, where the soul undergoes cycles of death and rebirth, striving to achieve purity and escape the cycle. Persephone's dual roles as goddess of spring and queen of the underworld perfectly embodied this idea, representing both the soul's entrapment in the physical realm and its potential for transcendence. Rituals in Orphism often revolved around Persephone and her mother, Demeter, with initiates seeking to align themselves with the goddess's transformative powers. These rituals included purification ceremonies, symbolic reenactments of Persephone's descent and return, and the use of sacred texts known as the Orphic hymns. Unlike mainstream Greek religion, which focused on communal worship and appeasing the gods, Orphism emphasized personal spiritual growth and the pursuit of enlightenment. One of the most striking differences in Orphic tradition is the portrayal of Persephone as a more active and empowered figure. While mainstream myths often depict her as a passive victim of Hades' actions, Orphic texts present her as a wise and compassionate guide for souls navigating the afterlife. This shift in perspective highlights the Orphic belief in the individual's ability to shape their spiritual destiny, with Persephone serving as both a protector and a teacher. Through the lens of Orphism, Persephone's story takes on a richer, more symbolic meaning, inviting us to reflect on the nature of existence and the soul's eternal journey. As we move forward, we'll explore how her myth mirrors the agricultural cycles of planting and harvest, further deepening our understanding of her enduring legacy. Now let's turn our attention to the natural world and how Persephone's story beautifully mirrors the cycles of agriculture. For the ancient Greeks, her myth wasn't just a tale of gods and underworlds, it was a way to make sense of the changing seasons and the rhythms of planting, growth, and harvest. Persephone's annual journey between the earth and the underworld became a powerful metaphor for the life cycle of crops, offering both an explanation and a celebration of nature's patterns. When Persephone descends into the underworld, the earth grows cold and barren, reflecting the winter months when fields lie fallow and life seems to pause. This period of dormancy was seen as a time of rest and preparation, much like the quiet months before planting. But when Persephone returns to the surface, bringing spring with her, the earth bursts into life once more. Her reunion with Demeter symbolizes the renewal of the land, the sprouting of seeds, and the promise of abundance. The ancient Greeks saw this cycle as a divine dance between life and death, growth and decay. Persephone's time in the underworld wasn't just a punishment or a trial, it was a necessary part of the natural order. Just as seeds must be buried in the soil to sprout, Persephone's descent into darkness was essential for the earth's rebirth. This connection between her myth and agriculture helped people understand and accept the inevitability of change, finding comfort in the idea that even in the darkest times, renewal was always on the horizon. Festivals and rituals often celebrated this connection, with communities honoring Demeter and Persephone during key moments in the agricultural calendar. The Thesmophoria, for example, was a women's festival held in autumn, coinciding with the sowing of seeds. Participants would offer sacrifices and perform rituals to ensure a bountiful harvest, drawing on the myth to reinforce their bond with the land. These celebrations weren't just about asking for divine favor, they were a way for people to actively participate in the cycles of nature, aligning their lives with the rhythms of the earth. Through Persephone's story, the ancient Greeks found meaning in the ebb and flow of the seasons, seeing their own lives reflected in the cycles of planting and harvest. Her myth reminds us that even in times of hardship, there is always the potential for growth and renewal. As we move forward, we'll explore how this connection to agriculture shaped not only their understanding of the natural world, but also their cultural identity and spiritual practices. Now, let's take a closer look at the heart of Persephone's story, the profound and complex relationship between her and her mother, Demeter. This bond is the emotional core of the myth, weaving together themes of love, loss, and the unbreakable ties between a mother and daughter. Their relationship isn't just a backdrop to the story, it's the driving force behind the changing seasons and the emotional weight that gives the myth its enduring power. Demeter's love for Persephone is fierce and unwavering. When Persephone is taken to the underworld, Demeter's grief is so overwhelming that it shakes the very foundations of the earth. Her sorrow isn't just personal, it's universal, reflecting the pain of any parent separated from their child. This maternal love is so powerful that it alters the natural world, plunging it into barrenness and despair. Demeter's actions, her refusal to let the earth flourish until her daughter is returned, show just how deeply connected they are. Her love isn't passive, it's a force of nature capable of bending the will of gods and mortals alike. Persephone, too, is shaped by this bond. Her time in the underworld is marked by longing for her mother, even as she grows into her role as Queen of the Dead. This duality, her connection to both Demeter and Hades, reflects the complexity of her character. She isn't just a victim or a pawn in the god's schemes. She's a figure caught between two worlds, torn between her love for her mother and her new responsibilities. This tension adds depth to her story, making her more than just a symbol of the seasons. She becomes a relatable figure, embodying the struggles of balancing different aspects of life. The reunion between Persephone and Demeter is one of the most emotionally charged moments in the myth. When Persephone returns to the surface, the earth bursts into life, mirroring the joy and relief of their reunion. This moment isn't just about the return of spring, it's about the restoration of a bond that was never truly broken. Their relationship reminds us that even in the face of separation and hardship, love has the power to heal and renew. But their story also carries a bittersweet truth. Because Persephone must return to the underworld for part of the year, their reunion is always temporary. This cyclical separation and reunion reflect the realities of life, the inevitability of change, the pain of loss, and the hope of renewal. It's a reminder that love, while powerful, doesn't always mean permanence. Instead, it's about finding strength in connection, even when that connection is tested by time and distance. Through their relationship, the myth explores universal themes that resonate across cultures and generations. It's a story about the lengths a mother will go to for her child, the resilience of love in the face of adversity, and the ways in which separation can deepen our appreciation for the moments we share. As we move forward, we'll see how this bond continues to shape not only the myth of Persephone, but also the ways in which ancient Greeks understood family, nature, and the cycles of life. Now, let's turn our attention to the underworld itself, a place that holds far more significance than just being the realm of the dead. In Persephone's story, the underworld serves as a powerful symbol of transformation and renewal, a space where endings give way to new beginnings. It's not merely a dark, static place, it's a dynamic realm where profound change takes root, both for Persephone and for the world above. When Persephone descends into the underworld, she isn't just entering a new physical space, she's stepping into a journey of personal growth. Her time there marks a transition from maiden to queen, from innocence to power. This transformation isn't easy or painless, but it's necessary. The underworld strips away her old identity, forcing her to confront challenges and responsibilities that shape her into a stronger, more complex figure. It's a place where she discovers her own agency, learning to navigate her dual roles as both a goddess of spring and a ruler of the dead. The underworld also symbolizes the cyclical nature of life and death. Just as Persephone's descent brings winter and her return brings spring, the underworld represents the constant ebb and flow of existence. It's a reminder that endings are never truly final, they're just the precursors to new beginnings. This idea of renewal is central to the myth, offering a hopeful perspective on the inevitability of change. The underworld isn't a place of despair, it's a crucible where transformation occurs, preparing both Persephone and the world for the rebirth that follows. Moreover, the underworld serves as a metaphor for personal growth and the trials we all face in life. Just as Persephone must navigate the challenges of her new role, we too encounter moments of darkness and uncertainty that push us to grow. The underworld teaches us that transformation often requires us to face our fears, embrace change, and emerge stronger on the other side. It's a powerful symbol of resilience, showing that even in the darkest moments, there's potential for renewal and growth. As we reflect on the underworld's role in Persephone's story, we see how it transcends its literal meaning to become a universal symbol of transformation. It's a place where death and rebirth coexist, where endings are inseparable from new beginnings. This duality mirrors the cycles of nature, the rhythms of life, and the personal journeys we all undertake. The underworld reminds us that transformation is not only possible but essential, a truth that resonates as deeply today as it did in ancient times. Next, we'll explore how Persephone's influence extends beyond the underworld, shaping the roles and expectations of women in ancient Greek society. Her story continues to inspire, offering timeless lessons about strength, resilience, and the power of transformation. Now, let's shift our focus to how Persephone's story shaped the roles and expectations of women in ancient Greek society. Her myth offers a fascinating lens through which to explore the complexities of being a daughter, wife, and mother in a world dominated by gods and men. Persephone's journey begins as a daughter, a role that defines her early life. Her abduction by Hades, orchestrated with Zeus's approval, reflects the limited agency young women often had in ancient Greece. Daughters were frequently seen as extensions of their fathers, their fates decided by male authority figures. Yet Persephone's story doesn't end with her abduction. Over time, she transforms from a passive figure into a powerful queen, suggesting that even within constraints, women could find ways to assert their influence. As a wife, Persephone's relationship with Hades is complex. While her marriage begins under troubling circumstances, she eventually embraces her role as queen of the underworld, wielding significant power. This duality, being both a victim and a ruler, mirrors the conflicting expectations placed on wives in ancient Greece. Women were expected to be submissive yet capable, nurturing yet strong. Persephone's ability to navigate these dual roles highlights the resilience and adaptability required of women in her time. Perhaps most importantly, Persephone's bond with her mother, Demeter, underscores the central role of motherhood in ancient Greek society. Demeter's grief and determination to reclaim her daughter reveal the depth of maternal love and the lengths to which mothers would go to protect their children. This aspect of the myth emphasizes the importance of motherhood as a source of both strength and vulnerability, a theme that resonated deeply with ancient audiences. However, Persephone's story also reveals the limitations placed on women. Her power is often tied to her relationships with male gods, Zeus, Hades, and even Hermes. While she becomes a queen, her authority is still framed within the context of her marriage to Hades. This reflects the broader societal expectation that a woman's status and influence were often derived from her connections to men. Yet, Persephone's myth also carries a message of empowerment. Her ability to balance her roles as a goddess of spring and queen of the underworld demonstrates that women could hold multiple identities and wield power in different realms. Her story challenges the idea that women were confined to a single role, offering a more nuanced view of their potential. As we consider Persephone's influence on women's roles, we see how her myth both reflects and challenges the realities of ancient Greek society. It's a story of resilience, transformation, and the enduring strength of women, themes that continue to resonate today. Next, we'll explore how Persephone's journey mirrors ancient initiation rites, symbolizing the transition from youth to adulthood and the profound changes that come with it. Now, let's turn our attention to how Persephone's myth intertwines with ancient initiation rites, shedding light on the profound transition from youth to adulthood. Her story, rich with symbolism, mirrors the rituals that marked significant life changes in ancient Greek culture, offering a deeper understanding of both her myth and the societal practices of the time. Persephone's abduction and descent into the underworld can be seen as a metaphor for the trials and transformations that young people undergo as they step into adulthood. Just as initiation rites often involved separation from one's family and a period of testing or hardship, Persephone's journey begins with her abrupt removal from her mother's care and her entry into a mysterious, unfamiliar realm. This separation symbolizes the necessary break from childhood, a step that was both feared and revered in ancient societies. The challenges Persephone faces in the underworld, navigating her new role as queen, negotiating her return to the surface, and ultimately balancing her dual identity, reflect the struggles young individuals face during their own rites of passage. These rituals were designed to test resilience, instill wisdom, and prepare initiates for the responsibilities of adulthood. Persephone's ability to adapt and thrive in the underworld mirrors the growth and self-discovery that these rites aim to cultivate. Moreover, her eventual return to the surface, bringing spring and renewal, parallels the reintegration phase of initiation rites. After enduring trials, initiates would rejoin their communities with a new status, often celebrated with feasts and ceremonies. Persephone's reunion with Demeter and the subsequent revival of the earth symbolize this joyous return, marking the completion of her transformation and the beginning of a new chapter. The pomegranate seeds, which bind Persephone to the underworld, also carry symbolic weight in this context. In many ancient cultures, seeds represented potential and new beginnings. By consuming them, Persephone not only seals her fate but also embraces her new identity, much like initiates who underwent symbolic acts to signify their transition. This act underscores the irreversible nature of growing up and the acceptance of one's new role in society. Persephone's story, then, is not just a myth about the seasons, but also a powerful allegory for the universal experience of coming of age. It captures the fear, uncertainty, and eventual empowerment that accompany the journey from childhood to adulthood, themes that resonated deeply with ancient audiences and continue to inspire us today. As we move forward, we'll delve into Persephone's role in the afterlife, exploring how her myth shaped ancient Greek beliefs about death and the journey of the soul. Now, let's step into the shadowy realm of the afterlife, where Persephone reigns as queen alongside Hades. Her role in the underworld is far more than just a symbolic one. It's a cornerstone of ancient Greek beliefs about death and the journey of the soul. As the goddess who bridges the worlds of the living and the dead, Persephone holds a unique and powerful position, shaping how the ancient Greeks understood what awaited them after life. One of her most significant duties is the judgment of souls. When mortals passed into the underworld, it was Persephone who, alongside Hades, determined their fate. Souls were judged based on their deeds in life, with the virtuous rewarded in the Elysian fields, a paradise reserved for heroes and the righteous. Those who led less honorable lives faced punishment in Tartarus, a place of torment and suffering. This system of judgment reinforced the idea that one's actions in life had eternal consequences, a belief that deeply influenced Greek morality and ethics. Persephone's presence in the underworld also offered a sense of balance and hope. While Hades represented the inevitability of death, Persephone's dual nature, as both a goddess of spring and queen of the dead, symbolized the cyclical nature of existence. Her annual return to the earth brought renewal and growth, reminding the living that death was not an end but a transition. This duality comforted the ancient Greeks, offering them a way to reconcile the fear of death with the promise of renewal. Her myth also shaped rituals and practices surrounding death. The ancient Greeks believed that proper burial rites and offerings to the gods of the underworld were essential to ensure a soul's safe passage. Persephone, as a key figure in the afterlife, was often invoked in these rituals. Her story provided a framework for understanding the mysteries of death, offering both a warning and a reassurance. While death was inevitable, the soul's journey could be guided by reverence and respect for the divine. Persephone's role in the afterlife wasn't just about judgment and transition, it was also about compassion. As a goddess who had experienced both the light of the surface world and the darkness of the underworld, she was seen as a mediator between the living and the dead. Her story reminded the ancient Greeks that even in the face of death, there was room for empathy and understanding, a belief that brought comfort to those mourning lost loved ones. As we continue, we'll explore how Persephone's myth inspired seasonal festivals in ancient Greece, celebrating the cycles of life, death, and rebirth that her story so beautifully embodies. Now, let's turn our attention to how Persephone's myth left its mark on the ancient Greek calendar, inspiring some of the most significant seasonal festivals of the time. Among these, the Thesmophoria stands out as a celebration deeply tied to her story and the themes of life, death, and rebirth. This festival, held in honor of Demeter and Persephone, was one of the most important religious events for women in ancient Greece, offering a unique glimpse into how the myth shaped cultural practices. The Thesmophoria was celebrated over 3 days, each marked by distinct rituals and symbolism. The first day, known as the Anodos or Ascent, mirrored Persephone's return to the surface world, symbolizing the renewal of life and the arrival of spring. Women would gather to prepare for the festival, fasting and abstaining from certain foods as a form of purification. This act of self-denial reflected the hardships Demeter endured during her daughter's absence, creating a powerful connection between the participants and the goddesses they honored. The second day, called the Nesteia, or fasting, was a solemn occasion that mirrored Demeter's grief and the barrenness of the earth during Persephone's time in the underworld. Women would sit on the ground, often on mats made of plants associated with mourning, and engage in rituals that emphasized loss and longing. This day served as a reminder of the pain of separation and the fragility of life, grounding the festival in the emotional core of Persephone's myth. The final day, the Kalaigeneia, or beautiful birth, celebrated the return of fertility and abundance to the earth, echoing Persephone's reunion with Demeter and the renewal of the seasons. Women would offer sacrifices and perform rituals to ensure a bountiful harvest, often burying offerings in the earth and later retrieving them as symbols of rebirth. This act mirrored the cyclical nature of Persephone's journey, reinforcing the idea that life emerges from death and that renewal is always possible. Beyond the Thesmophoria, Persephone's myth influenced other seasonal festivals, such as the Eleusinian mysteries, which we've touched on earlier. These celebrations were not just religious events, but also communal experiences that brought people together to honor the cycles of nature and the divine forces that govern them. Through these festivals, the ancient Greeks found a way to connect with the deeper meanings of Persephone's story, finding hope and reassurance in the promise of renewal. As we move forward, we'll explore how Persephone's legacy continues to inspire modern spirituality, offering timeless lessons about resilience, transformation, and the enduring power of myth. Now, let's shift our focus to how Persephone's ancient story continues to resonate in the modern world, particularly within spiritual practices that draw inspiration from her myth. Persephone's journey, marked by abduction, transformation, and eventual empowerment, has become a powerful symbol for those seeking meaning in themes of resilience, renewal, and personal growth. Her dual roles as both the goddess of spring and the queen of the underworld offer a rich tapestry of symbolism that speaks to the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, making her a central figure in contemporary spiritual movements like neo-paganism and goddess worship. In neo-pagan traditions, Persephone is often revered as a representation of the sacred feminine and the transformative power of the underworld. Her story is seen as a metaphor for the soul's journey through darkness and into light, reflecting the human experience of facing challenges and emerging stronger. Many modern practitioners honor her during seasonal rituals, particularly around the autumn equinox and spring equinox, which mirror her descent into and return from the underworld. These celebrations often include meditations, offerings, and storytelling that highlight her resilience and the cyclical nature of existence. Goddess worship movements also embrace Persephone as a figure of empowerment, particularly for women. Her myth is interpreted as a narrative of reclaiming agency and finding strength in vulnerability. The moment she eats the pomegranate seeds, often seen as an act of choice rather than coercion, is celebrated as a turning point where she steps into her power as queen of the underworld. This interpretation resonates with those who see her as a symbol of transformation, encouraging individuals to embrace their own journeys of self-discovery and growth. Beyond organized spiritual practices, Persephone's legacy has found its way into personal rituals and self-help philosophies. Her story is frequently referenced in discussions about overcoming adversity, navigating life's transitions, and finding beauty in the darker aspects of existence. For many, she serves as a reminder that even in the depths of despair, there is potential for renewal and that every ending holds the seed of a new beginning. As we reflect on Persephone's enduring influence, it's clear that her myth transcends time and culture, offering timeless lessons about the human experience. Whether through ancient festivals or modern spiritual practices, her story continues to inspire, reminding us of the power of resilience, the inevitability of change, and the hope that comes with every new season. With this, we conclude our exploration of the 30 ancient legends about Persephone and the seasons. From her abduction to her role as queen of the underworld, her story has captivated hearts and minds for centuries, weaving together themes of life, death, and renewal. If you've enjoyed this journey through myth and meaning, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the world of ancient mythology. Let us know in the comments which legend resonated with you the most. We'd love to hear your thoughts. As we bring our journey through the 30 ancient legends of Persephone and the seasons to a close, it's impossible not to marvel at the timeless power of her story. From her dramatic abduction to her transformation into the queen of the underworld, Persephone's tale weaves together the profound themes of life, death, and renewal. Her myth has captivated generations, offering a lens through which we can understand the cycles of nature, the resilience of the human spirit, and the beauty of transformation. Each legend we've explored, whether it's the grief of Demeter, the cunning of Hades, or the pivotal moment with the pomegranate seeds, adds another layer to this rich tapestry. These stories remind us that even in the darkest moments, there is potential for growth and rebirth. Persephone's journey is not just a myth, it's a reflection of our own experiences, encouraging us to find strength in adversity and hope in new beginnings. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Which of these legends resonated with you the most? Was it the emotional depth of Demeter's grief, the symbolism of the pomegranate seeds, or perhaps the joyous return of spring? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're excited to hear your interpretations and reflections. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of ancient mythology, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exploration of the myths and legends that shape our world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the enduring legacy of Persephone. Until next time, may her story inspire you to embrace the cycles of life and find light in every season.